Welcome to American Roots. My name is Jessica and today I'm going to show you how to take a $5 Costco Rotisserie chicken and turn it into 3 meals and chicken stock. What you're going to need is a Ziploc gallon-sized bag for the carcass. You're going to need a bowl or some kind of container to put your chicken in. I have a clean hand towel just because you never know. Any kind of knife, just as long as it's sharp, but I like to use a boning knife. I have a $5 warm, I just got that from Costco, a warm rotisserie chicken. Now if I had put this in the fridge and wanted to use it later and do this same thing, I would just need to heat this back up. The reason why is because a warm chicken is going to always be easier to pull off the bone than a cold one. So I'm going to start. And I keep the lid just because it's good to have something to put it in. It's gonna have a lot of juice. And you're gonna put it on a clean cutting board. And what I like to do first is just start by ripping off the legs. That's where the lid comes in really handy. And they literally just twist and pull right off. And see, I just splattered chicken all over my refrigerator. Here's my clean hand towel. Being careful of my knives. Go back over this with a Clorox wipe when we're done. So what I would like to do is you have the breast of the chicken and you have the rib. You want to take off this elastic piece that's wrapped around the wings. It's what they use to truss the chicken so it would stay together and not fall apart. You can discard that. The skin has a lot of flavor. You can use that in any meal. But what I would suggest is start to cut right down the breastbone, and you can feel it. You can see the two chicken breasts, and right in the middle is the bone. And you want to cut. So the bone kind of comes at an angle. You want to take the tip of your knife. You want to draw down the middle and do it to the other side so you've got your two, and let your knife just glide along that bone. And you're gonna go down, and because it's a cooked chicken, this is a little bit different than when you do a raw chicken. But once you start your cut, you can start to pull it, and then you can finish it by using your knife to get in there and cut your breast right off the bone. And now I've got a rotisserie seasoned chicken breast that can go in the bowl. And that's what the carcass looks like. And you can see I got nice and close to the bone, and there's still this chunk of meat right here that doesn't have any bone. So I'm gonna use my fingers and just pull that off. And that's the glory of using it when it's warm, because when it's warm, you can pull that off easy and get right down to that carcass. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to pull it away from the carcass, and I'm going to take my knife. Always be careful and conscious of where your fingers are when you're using a knife. I know that goes without saying, but so I pulled the breast off. There's another breast, another rotisserie chicken breast. And like I said, because it is warm and already cooked, it's gonna be flaky and coming apart. Don't be worried about that. Just try to shape it the best you can. They won't know the difference. So then, once I've done the two breasts, I can flip it over and start working on the back side. And it just really breaks apart very easy. You just take it right off the bone, any meat that you have. And at this point, I'm not worried about the skin. So I'm just gonna start peeling it, feeling all the parts, making sure I don't have any bone in there. I have one side is the trash and one side is the stuff I'd wanna keep. Just making sure I get all of that out. And you want to keep every part of the bone, wing, body that you do not use, and put that in your chicken stock. So you just go to the other side, pull your bones out. You don't typically want a lot of skin in your stock either. because it can make it really oily and fatty. So I try to rid my stock of as much of the chicken skin. Just pull it right off the bone. Put the bone in your stockpile. There's another piece in here. Get all the meat off. And then I like using my hands too because it allows me to really feel the texture. You're cooking for your family. Wash your hands good. So then I just feel through the rest of the carcass and I look for any pieces that are able to be eaten. If I don't want it, or if it's hard or has gristle or bone, then I just put it into the stockpile. It also makes it very easy because you don't feel like you're wasting anything if you know you're using whatever you have for stock. See, I felt that when I threw it back in the bowl that it was just a little bit hard. Big meat in there. There's a lot of meat on a leg. Little porky chicken legs. You've got a bowl full of boneless, kind of skinless, but rotisserie chicken. And you've got the carcass left over from your chicken. So now I can put this away for stock, and we will take things from the garden and make chicken stock with this a little bit later. Okay, so one of the meals that I made was I made some boxed macaroni and cheese, and I just cut up one of the chicken breasts and put it right on top. I tossed it in there and topped it with some Parmesan cheese, and that's meal one with a rotisserie chicken from Costco. All right, I've got 2 ribs of celery I'm going to cut. Always save that stuff for compost. All right, so there's our celery. So I'm just gonna come through and I'm just gonna mince it a little bit. This doesn't have to be too minced, but you don't want big, huge bites of celery. It'll kind of kill the flavor. So just minced. All right, we're gonna go out to the garden and we are going to cut some fresh green onions for our chicken salad that we're making. All right, so I'm gonna come in here right underneath these marigolds and I can see where that onion is. And I think I'm actually gonna pull this one out. So there's one green onion. Put a little marigold. All right, so I've washed the green onion and I'm gonna cut it right about here. And then I can go take this and replant this in the garden and it will grow another shoot of green onion for me. So I'm gonna cut it right about there and then I can go plant that back into the garden. With this green onion, I'm gonna cut it down the center and then I'm gonna mince it up to about All right, so here I've got my celery, my bacon, my rotisserie pulled chicken off the bone that I had from yesterday, a clean bowl to mix my stuff in, my knife to cut my chicken up. So I'm just gonna start with that. I'm gonna start picking out pieces and cubing them and putting it in the bowl. I'm just doing a rough chop, and I'm gonna pull the skin off. I don't like, the flavor of the skin's great, but I don't like the consistency of the skin, especially like this rubbery texture. I'm not gonna put that in my chicken salad. So I have my breast, and I'm just gonna start by cutting it and then loosely cubing it. And I'm gonna take a few pieces of the like dark meat, and I'm gonna mix that in there as well. And when it's all pieces like this, it's not a beautiful breast that you can't like just uniformly cut. I would take it and just kind of put it in the pieces that would be cut, and then just rough chop it. And that is on about 3 cups of chicken right there. And I still have a full breast and the rest of that meat left for the Alfredo. All right, so I'm gonna add mustard, mayonnaise, coarse ground black pepper, garlic, and pink Himalayan sea salt, as well as the celery and bacon and green onion into the mix. Now, I probably won't put all of that celery in there, just because the amount of chicken I ended up using, and then my bacon. Remembering that I made bacon bits for the top of the Alfredo, so I don't want to use it all. The bacon's just to give it a little kick. I'm kind of like a pincher, so I do about 1.5 pinches of salt. It's all to taste, so it's your preference. If you don't like it, you don't have to put it in there. If you like it, then add it, and maybe you have something else that you like to add. Some people prefer celery seed over the actual celery. That's okay. I chop mine up pretty fine, so hopefully it doesn't bother the bite. And that's probably about a pinch of garlic powder. I try not to be too overpowering with that. Joe doesn't care for a whole lot of garlic. I'll make mayonnaise one of these days. I've just been so busy that buying it seems extra convenient. Now, I don't like a dry salad, so I tend to moisten it. And another variation you can add, if you wanted to add a little bit of zest to this as well as the crunch, you could add a little bit of chopped up dill pickle, or I have like a sweet heat pickle that might be good in there. So just mix it thoroughly. And you don't have to put as much mayonnaise as I do. We just love mayonnaise. I like what it is I like it when I put it on my bread. I don't like to put anything on my bread. So I like my bread to be real dry and my salad to be a little bit more moist. So there is our chicken salad all ready to eat.